in Chief for increasing the base pay of the MUP, including the military personnel. I would like also to express my profound gratitude to the Filipino people for your unwavering trust in the armed forces of the Philippines. And lastly, I extend my snappiest salute to the gallant men and women of the armed forces of the Philippines. You have remained disciplined, professional, and united, rising above the noise and faithfully fulfilling our sworn mandate. Hanggat may alon sa ating dagat at bituin sa ating watawat, mananatili kaming isang matatag na sandatahang lakas, kasangga ninyo tungo sa bagong Pilipinas. Muli, isang maligayang anibersaryo sa lahat. Mabuhay ang sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas at mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Thank you to the AFP Chief of Staff.
As a highlight to this anniversary celebration, we'll witness the donning of rank to honor the heroism of one of our officers. May we request Captain Jerome Hacuba, together with his wife, Mrs. Rachel Hacuba, to proceed on stage. May we also request the Adjutant General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Brigadier General Danilo E. Estranjero, Philippine Army, for the reading of the promotion orders.
Republic of the Philippines, Department of National Defense, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders number 2349, published on 18 December 2025. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 7 of Republic Act number 291 as amended, in conjunction with Republic Act number 11709 as amended by Republic Act number 11939 and other relevant laws, Captain Jerome J. Hacuba, Officer DAS 146467, Philippine Army, is promoted to the permanent rank of Major effective 01 December 2025. By order of the Secretary of National Defense, Official Romeo Saturnino Browner Jr., General Philippine Army, Chief of Staff. Signed, Danilo E. Estranjero, Brigadier General Philippine Army, the Adjutant General.
His Excellency is requested to be assisted by the Secretary of National Defense and the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, for the donning of rank. Major Hacuba was part of the 62nd Division Reconnaissance Company of the 6th Infantry Division when he was wounded in action during a clearing operation at Sitio Balas, Barangay T, Datu Salibo, Maguindanao on 2 March 2016. At the course of the operation, an improvised explosive device exploded. This situation didn't hinder him from demonstrating his strong leadership. Well, congratulations to the newly promoted Major Jerome Hacuba. Thank you to His Excellency. Major Hacuba may now proceed to your seat. We'll now proceed with the awarding ceremony for heroism and individual awards, as well as the unit awards. Once again, we'd like to request His Excellency to be assisted by the Secretary of National Defense and the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. The Distinguished Conduct Star is hereby presented to Captain Carlos Antonio R. Arboleda, Philippine Navy Marines, for acts of conspicuous and gallantry during a 2-hour intense combat against the BIFF Carayalan faction, resulting in the neutralization of 5 enemies and the recovery of 5 high-powered firearms. The Gold Cross Medal is hereby presented to First Lieutenant Lady Jean C. Cabaya, Philippine Army, for gallantry in action during the encounter against communist NPA terrorists that resulted to the neutralization of 2 enemies and the recovery of 7 high-powered firearms, 29 anti-personnel mines, and voluminous war materials. The Gold Cross Medal is hereby presented to Sergeant Johnny V. Garbo, Philippine Army, for gallantry in action during the firefight against communist NPA terrorists that resulted in the neutralization of 7 enemies and recovery of 7 high-powered firearms and assorted war materials with high intelligence value. The Bronze Cross Medal is hereby presented to Lieutenant Colonel Erwin S. Diploma, Philippine Air Force, for acts of heroism involving risk of life as contingent commander of the Philippine Interagency Humanitarian Contingent conducting search, rescue, and retrieval operations in Naiti, Tao, and Mandalay following the 7.7 magnitude earthquake. The Kagitingan sa Barangay category of Maginoo is hereby presented to CAFGU Active Auxiliary Eduardo M. Linogon Jr., Philippine Army, for conspicuous gallantry at the risk of life beyond the call of duty as CAFGU Active Auxiliary and sustaining wounds during series of encounters, which led to the neutralization of 5 communist NPA terrorists and capturing 24 assorted firearms, war materials, and subversive documents. The plaque of recognition is hereby presented to Petty Officer 2nd Class Jeff C. Villanueva, Philippine Navy, for being adjudged as the AFP Enlisted Personnel of the Year 2025. The plaque of recognition for the AFP Civilian Human Resource of the Year 2025 Supervisor category is hereby presented to Ms. Annabel C. Raimundo, Civilian Human Resource from the Philippine Army. The plaque of recognition for the AFP Civilian Human Resource of the Year 2025 Employee category is hereby presented to Ms. Luningning M. Claudio, Civilian Human Resource from the CMO Command, Armed Forces of the Philippines.
The plaque of recognition for the AFP Reserve Officer Training Corps Male Cadet of the Year 2025 is hereby presented to Cadet Colonel Lloyd Aldrich C. Banias, First Class Corps Commander of ASEAN International School of Aeronautics and Technology, Philippine Air Force, ROTC Unit. The plaque of recognition for the AFP Reserve Officer Training Corps Female Cadet of the Year 2025 is hereby presented to Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Jenny Rose L. Palangdao, First Class, Corps Commander of University of Baguio, Philippine Army, ROTC Unit.
We shall now have the awarding of the AFP campaign streamers for the exceptional performance in accomplishing missions as set forth in the AFP campaign plans on internal security operations and territorial defense operations. They will be joined by the Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations J3, Major General Elmer B. Suderio. The awardees for internal security operations, Joint Task Force Tala, with its commander, Major General Gulliver L. Sinieres, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Komiteng Rehiyon, Cagayan Valley. Joint Task Force Kaugnay, with its commander, Major General Joseph Norwin D. Pasamonte, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Komiteng Rehiyon, Gitnang Luzon. '501st Infantry Brigade, 5th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its commander, Brigadier General Denmark F. Mamaril, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Kilusang Larangan Guerrilla, North Abra of the Ilocos Cordillera Regional Committee. Joint Task Force Bicolandia, with its commander, Major General Alduin I. Almase, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Regional Unit Guerrilla of the Bicol Regional Party Committee. '902nd Infantry Brigade, 9th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its commander, Brigadier General William P. Peñafiel Jr., Philippine Army, for dismantling the following: Sub-Regional Committee 2 and Sub-Regional Committee 5, both under the Bicol Regional Party Committee.
Joint Task Force Katagalugan, with its commander, Major General Ramon P. Zagala, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Sub-Regional Military Area 4A of the Southern Tagalog Regional Party Committee. Joint Task Force Pair, with its commander, Major General Michael G. Samson, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Regional Centro de Gravedad Madiaas of the Komiteng Rehiyon, Panay. '301st Infantry Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its commander, Brigadier General Nel Richard E. Patricio, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Regional Centro de Gravedad Madiaas of the Komiteng Rehiyon, Panay. '403rd Infantry Brigade, 4th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its commander, Brigadier General Sigfred C. Tubalado, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Sub-Regional Committee 2 of the North Central Mindanao Regional Committee. '401st Infantry Brigade, 4th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its acting commander, Colonel Glenn Joy Ainera, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Sub-Regional Centro de Gravedad Southland of the Northeastern Mindanao Regional Committee.
'701st Infantry Brigade, 7th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its commander, Brigadier General Alan Jose L. Taguba, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Regional Centro de Gravedad Jaguar of the Southern Mindanao Regional Committee. '603rd Infantry Brigade, 6th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its commander, Brigadier General Michael A. Santos, Philippine Army, for dismantling the Platoon Gilbis of Regional Operational Command under the Far South Mindanao Region. 601st Infantry Brigade, 6th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, with its commander Brigadier General Edgar L. Catu, Philippine Army, for dismantling the local terrorist group Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, Karayalan faction. Joint Task Force Karagatan, Northern Luzon Naval Command, with Commander Rear Admiral Richard Gonzaga, Philippine Navy, for exemplary leadership in maritime security through 140 surface patrols and 44 air missions, integrating advanced surveillance and intelligence-driven operations, strengthening interagency coordination and international cooperation. Joint Task Force Arrowhead, Western Naval Command, with Commander Rear Admiral Vincent J. Sibala, Philippine Navy, for steadfast commitment to sovereignty in the Kalayaan Island Group and West Philippine Sea, through 101 surface patrols, 50 air missions, and 17 resupply operations, reinforcing defense diplomacy, humanitarian support, and deterrence against coercive activities. Joint Task Force Central, with Commander Major General Jose Vladimir R. Cagara, Philippine Army, for fostering international cooperation and interoperability through successful participation in the Philippines-Indonesia Strike V-2025, strengthening professional exchanges and joint coordination with allied units. Philippine Air Force Civil Military Operations Group, with its Commander Colonel Dennis Mangkoy, Philippine Air Force, for steadfast commitment to strategic communication and civil military engagement, fostering trust, cooperation, and advocacy in support of national defense and sovereign rights in contested maritime areas. Philippine Navy Naval Cyber Warfare Force, with Commander Captain John B. Montes, Philippine Navy, for exemplary performance in safeguarding naval cyber domains through detection of nearly 1 million threats, proactive assessments, incident investigations, and multilateral engagements that strengthen resilience and regional interoperability. The Chief of Staff AFP streamers being awarded to the following: 53rd Engineer Brigade, Philippine Army, with Commander Brigadier General Joel Nona Sobrera, during the 6.9 magnitude Cebu earthquake response. (205th Tactical Helicopter Wing, Philippine Air Force, with Commander Brigadier General Moises L. Micor, Philippine Air Force. The unit conducted nationwide missions following the Cebu 6.9 magnitude and Davao 7.5 magnitude earthquakes and typhoons from Quezon to Uwan. (525th Combat Engineer Battalion, Combat Engineer Regiment, Philippine Army, with Commander Lieutenant Colonel Lester Sinlao. The unit supported major disasters locally and abroad, assisting about 1,000 individuals in the 7.7 magnitude Myanmar earthquake, as well as in the tropical depression Fabian. 505th Search and Rescue Group, Philippine Air Force, with Commander Colonel Jonathan B. Gastardo, Philippine Air Force. The unit responded to the 7.7 Myanmar earthquake, 6.9 magnitude Bugo, Cebu earthquake, and Typhoons Tino and Uwan. (89th Infantry Battalion of the 10th Infantry Division, Philippine Army. This unit responded to severe flooding in Bukidnon by conducting extensive operations. course, the commanding officer is Lieutenant Colonel Antonio G. Bulao. Thank you and congratulations, everyone. At this point, may we call on the National Defense Secretary, Gilberto C. Tejeros Jr., to introduce our guest of honor and keynote speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos, Jr.
Thank you, Defense Secretary Gilbert Tejeros Jr. Please take your seats. Special Assistant to the President, Antonio Lagdomeo. The Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Romeo Browner Jr. At kung nakikita nyo masyadong malapad yung ngiti ni General Browner, I think it's because magiging lolo siya later on today. Chief of Staff talaga, sinabay pa yung birthday sa anniversary ng AFP. The officers and the personnel of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Your Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow workers in government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a good day to you all. Amidst peace and conflict, the Armed Forces of the Philippines has carried the responsibility of safeguarding our republic, keeping our nation sovereign, standing, and secure for 9 decades now. The AFP maintains a total force of more than 160,000 men and women. Today, I acknowledge every soldier, Navy, Marine, and Air Force personnel who stands watch today. I honor with deepest respect those who have risked their lives, especially our fallen soldiers who answered the call of duty while knowing full well the cost so that our flag might continue to fly free. We remember them not only in ceremonies like this, but more importantly, in the freedoms that we all enjoy every day. Over the past year, the AFP has continued to deliver results in both internal and external security. Our defense posture has been strengthened through their presence, preparedness, and professionalism. Cybersecurity operations have likewise expanded, securing our systems against evolving digital and technological threats. Your humanitarian assistance and disaster response operations have saved many lives, have restored order, and delivered hope to communities in need. In our maritime domain, we continue to conduct cooperative activities, demonstrating that we are a responsible member of the international community, committed to upholding international law. And in the same vein, we remain firm and clear with our stance. What is ours is ours. We stand our ground without purpose and without apology. We also reject in the strongest term the recent misleading claims that portray our country as a training hotspot for terrorism. For years, we have acted decisively to dismantle terrorist networks, to secure communities, and to sustain our hard-earned peace. To dismiss these gains with unfounded speculations is not acceptable. Nevertheless, we remain vigilant. We will not let deceptive narratives distract us nor weaken our resolve. We bring forward a modern AFP that is capable, credible, and steady. An AFP that is strong to deter threats, disciplined to prevent escalation, but principled to protect peace. Today, we also recognize heroism in action. To the men and women receiving awards for bravery, innovation, and distinguished service, you have set once again the gold standard. You remind us that excellence is habitual and defines the character of our nation. Araw-araw na naglilingkod, araw-araw na nanindigan, kaya sa ngalan ng mamamayang Pilipino, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat, sa inyong galing, sa inyong tapang, at sa inyong malasakit. This administration is committed to ensuring that you are properly compensated and well equipped. Part of this commitment is the approval of the Executive Order number 107, updating the base pay of military and uniformed personnel. It will take effect in January 2026, with succeeding adjustments in 27 and in 28. This can be just one of the many ways that we show our gratitude for the service that you have rendered to our country. The nation is safe because of you standing guard. Our children go to school, our livelihoods thrive, and our holidays are peaceful because you are on duty. As the Christmas season is upon us, a time of faith, family, and of reflection, remember this: your service gives meaning to the peace that we celebrate. Nagdiriwang ang sambayan ng Pilipino ng mga panatag na loob dahil alam naming nariyan kayo, nagbabantay at handang tumugon para sa ating bansa. Once again, my snappiest salute to all the defenders of the Republic. A happy 90th anniversary to the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Mabuhay ang Armed Forces of the Philippines, mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Thank you, Mr. President. And now, may we call on the AFP Chief of Staff, General Romeo S. Browner Jr., sir, to present to the President the AFP Coffee Table Book. Presented to His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines, on the occasion of the 90th anniversary of the AFP. This commemorative coffee table book chronicles the AFP's enduring legacy through defining moments, courageous leadership, and the evolving roles of the military in safeguarding sovereignty and supporting national development. Thank you. At this point, may we request the President to kindly grant us a group photo downstage. Likewise, we request all our attendees to gather at the center and join the President for a group photo. Okay, please move towards the center. Ready? At the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Mr. President, for granting us the photo opportunity.